So explain why it got to a point early on, 12,
13
14 years old, where you just didn't like being Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was a question I didn't like being Wayne Gretzky. I didn't like being everything that went on around being Wayne Gretzky, in that sense that the kids were great. You know, listen, when you're a little town, it's all the same kids on the ball team, it's mostly all the same kids on the hockey team, and a lot of the same kids on the box lacrosse team. So there was a good 10 or 11 of the 15 on each team that just played together on every team. So the kids and I were fine, like I said, and as time went on, parents, you know, would get envious, and, you know, some of the coaches I had at 13, 14 were, didn't like maybe the style of play that I played.
And although it might have only been a few people, few people, what were they saying?
It's like anything else, the negative people are always the loudest. You know, that I was overrated and I was spoiled and I'm not going to make it past 15. And so I remember out of the blue, I got this phone call from a friend that I'd known forever, and he said, "How would you like to play in Toronto?" And I said, "Absolutely, I'm in." So I said to my dad, after he called me, I said, "Hey, I'm going to go play in Toronto." And my dad kind of laughed. But as time went on that summer, he came down a couple times and explained to my dad what would be good for me. And as time went on, my dad started really thinking, okay, this might be the right thing to do. Let him kind of go be a normal high school student and normal kid and and my dad really felt that I would not struggle, but be more of an average player playing in Toronto where there's so many good players and so many good teams. I think he felt like it would obviously, progress me and make me a better player, but that I'd be more like one of the players instead of this sort of spotlight kid. And I think ultimately he just said, okay, this is probably the right thing to do.
And this was an hour away from home.
It was an hour away from home, and it was tough. The first 3 months or 4 months was really difficult. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Well, you were, I think, crying a lot.
Yeah.
And how hard was it, not only on you, but your parents, to make the decision to let you go?
Now I look back at it and I understand how difficult it was for them. It was probably harder for them than it was even for me. Because then I obviously went through it with my own kids. You have your kids and you want them home all the time. So no, I understood it was probably harder for them. It was probably even more difficult for my mom than even my dad. But turned out to be probably the best thing I ever did in my life, and probably the most important thing I ever did, because I became much more of a normal child and blended in. People I went to high school the first year I was there didn't even know I played ice hockey.
Except I think there was a moment, and this might have been later on, but I thought this was interesting. You score 4 goals in a game, and one of your Toronto friends just unknowingly goes to the game and comes up to you the next day asking if that's you, and what do you say?
Well, it was ironic because to this day I'm still friends with him, and he was my closest friend in high school. And I didn't know a lot of kids there because I just moved to Toronto. It was a big city and big school. I think we had 900 kids in our school. And we became friends, but he never played hockey, and he was a football player, and I never played football, obviously, and I didn't know much about it. And he didn't know much about hockey, but one of his brother's friends was playing junior A hockey. So we went to see the game. It was a playoff game, and I actually played in the game. I think I scored 3 goals that night. And he asked me the next day at school, he said, "Was that you?" And I said, "Yeah, but don't tell anybody." But the secret kind of got out of the bag a couple months later.
But you were kind of being serious. You just didn't want that attention because of what you'd been through.
I really enjoyed myself in high school as just a normal 14-year-old that was going to high school. I had created some friends there and good friendships, and I was having fun at school, and I was enjoying the people I was around, and people really didn't look at me as this person who was in newspapers every day and in media every day. So anyway, I ended up, after that first year, obviously people started to be aware of who I was.